All right, so we're gonna jump right in. Episode 2, back to basics. We're gonna see how our deck does tonight. I'll show you guys the Azamina Fire King list we're gonna go with. I picked up a Deception and stuff like that. I liked the deck a lot from when I tried it out before, so I figured we'll just keep going and see how it goes, and hopefully we can get a pretty good record tonight. Maybe get some prizes. Let's just jump right on into the deck. Okay, so this is past me here, showing you guys the Azamina Fire King Snake Eyes deck I'm going to be playing for locals. This is just a quick update because I did get the Azamina stuff, or at least some of it, and I wanted to show you guys the changes that I made going forward so we can see how it goes, and hopefully we do pretty well tonight. So of course, for the Fire Kings, one of the biggest changes I already made right away was I added 3 Kieran instead of the 2 from before. The reason for that is because I'm playing a second Alcanix now, which is another card that I picked up. So I wanted to make sure that I have access to Kieran as often as possible to help Alcanix dodge Veiler, Imperm, and things like that. But also, I just found that Kieran was just a way better card than I initially gave it credit for. So I wanted to increase the likelihood to see that, and also that it means I don't necessarily always have to go into Sunlight Wolf to make sure that I get Kieran in my hand. But as we get other cards, it may go back down to 2. We will have to see. To go with the Alcanix, you have the regular Garunix, just the Garnet, and then you have the Sacred Garunix, Ponix, and Arvada as well. That's it for the Fire King monsters, and then of course you have the 1 Sanctuary and 1 Island to go with them. These cards are all just really crazy. Tons of value there. We already know that. For the Snake Eye engine, you of course have the same 4 monsters as before. You've got Poplar, Oak, Ash, and Flamber's Dragon. That's nothing new. And then to go with that, you have the original Sinful Spoils and the 3 Bonfire. Again, this is very cookie cutter and like not going to be the most like interesting, innovative deck I've played by any means. This is just me trying to get better at like my technical play and stuff like that. So you're going to see a lot of really standard looking lineups and stuff. But I figured it was still worth showing you guys for when we go over the game recaps. I decided to keep Oak in, even though it's a card that I've seen a lot of lists omit, because I like being able to go Ash and Oak, or like Ash, grab Poplar, and then send those 2 for Oak, and then just have the 3rd level 1, just in case they randomly have like a DD Crow or something, because that card has been picking up steam, and I wanted, or like even just a Call by the Grave, I wanted to make sure I had just the additional level 1 body, and it's also just another card to search off of the Bonfire, which has gotten significantly worse because you only have these as your targets. So that is one of the big adjustments there. Then you have the Sinful Spoils engine. So I'm down to 2 Diabell Star. This is something I think I should probably be playing 3 of just to maximize my consistency. 2 is okay because you are playing, of course, 3 Wanteds, but I think I want to play the 3rd one just to have the likelihood of drawing it more often. We'll have to see how it goes tonight. And then the 1 Deception, and then the Hallowed Azamina to go with it as well. Finally picking up these cards just raises the ceiling of the deck significantly. Also just gives you the ability to go into like Omni Negates and stuff. You guys know that that's nothing new. I just really like what it offers the deck, and it also hilariously, Deception, you know, can potentially be a timeout win condition. For the non-engine, not much has changed. I don't think anything has changed actually. We have 3 Fualos, 3 Ash, 3 Droll, all in the main. Again, these are my, I will continue to say these are the anti-Fualos cards. And then 2 Ghost Ogre, 1 Call by the Grave, and 3 Infinite Impermanence as well. So 14 hand traps, 1 hand trap counter card. Clean deck there. Very standard, very straightforward. For the extra deck, we did have to make some changes since we're playing the Azamina cards. So, of course, you have your Ilsylvia and the Mu Resalago. These cards are crazy. I don't really need to explain how good those are. But we're playing the Garunix as well as the Zombie Vampire. This was a card I initially definitely undervalued. After playing with the deck on Saturday and then just getting to do some test hands with it more often and kind of like looking up some of the the more standardized lines of it. I realized that I didn't play this card often enough. I didn't realize like just how good just like hurling cards to the graveyard is with this deck. So I think we're going to see this card be played a lot more in my games. And then there's the Anima, of course, for just level 1s and also just, you know, picking stuff apart. IP and SP to go with it. The 2 Charmers, so Dark and Hida. Then we have Sunlight Wolf, Phoenix, Princess, Ambler Whale, Raging Phoenix, and Zelantis. So I think all that's pretty normal. I was considering Fuko. I'm not quite sure what I would cut for that yet, though. So that's something to consider, though, is definitely if like Tenpai becomes an issue, Fuko may be a card to look at. It might also just be worth siding it. Yeah. Then for the side deck, currently we have 3 Perulia, and then I'm actually citing 2 Nibiru's and 2 DD Crows. This is a decision that I think is going to be an interesting one. I think Nibiru is very undervalued right now by a lot of people right now. Like, just in general, I think it's kind of an overlooked card because of the Azumina cards existing. And obviously it's like not that good into Tenpai, but it's fairly solid into almost everything else. So I figured it might be worth considering citing 2. And then the reason for DD Crow is because I don't want to have a card that, like the Bistros, that only works against like Yubel particularly, or the Fiendsmith stuff. I want it to be able to work in general against a variety of decks, and DD Crow does that, and it also doesn't lose to Impulse, which I think is really good. So that's pretty solid. Then I'm citing 2 Cosmic Cyclones and the Fire King Skyburn as well for the searchable out to Floodgates. And then I did change my going first cards. Now I'm citing 3 D-Barriers, 1 Skill Drain, and 1 Anti-Spell Fragrance. I'm leaning more into the Snake Eye strategy there with these going first cards. Like these 2, being able to send these off of Ash or Oak is obviously very good. But also, I didn't realize initially that Kieran can just pop 1 card on the field. So I may actually end up just having to pop my own cards. But that is the updated deck. We're going to have to go see how Locals goes and keep you updated. Round 1 is in the books, and we are 1-0. We just played against going second Vanquish Soul, which he was like playing a bunch of board breakers and stuff, which doesn't really do anything to Fire King cards. And it went pretty well. As you guys can see, my opening hand game 1 was pretty cracked. I opened up with just like the Azumina engine, or access to Azumina engine and everything like that. He double impermed me, which was unfortunate, but that's okay. He couldn't outgrind, and so then on the following turn, I still had resources, and was able to win pretty quickly with that. Then game 2, I opened up DD Crow, double Perulia, and he went first. I shotgunned the Perulia because it's Vanquish Soul, so that one hits the deck harder than the Fualos. He ashed the first one. I then activated another Perulia, so I got a draw off of the Dr. Madlove. And then when he activated Rock to add back from grave, I chained DD Crow, getting rid of the Madlove, and then just kind of like locking him down from there. On the following turn, I started to do my plays with Volcanics and things like that. I eventually got to the Garunix Xyz monster, popped all monsters, and then he chained Book of Eclipse to make sure that I couldn't destroy back row. I activated the Sanctuary to get to the island, popped the Garunix, and then that was game. So it's a really quick 2-0, like nothing too crazy or anything like that. Round 1 of 4 down. Round 2 is in the books, and we just played against Yubel. It was a pretty close one. I think it drew Poplar like all 3 games though, which is crazy. But we really got to use the Azumina cards to make a lot of pushes and utilize the Fire King cards really efficiently. Game 1, I opened up with like multiple engine pieces and hand traps. Game 2 was a very similar thing, as you guys can see. The biggest thing was in game 3, holding Ogre for his Nightmare Pain was really big because then it just left him with like a useless piece. He summoned Phantom really early, and I had D-Barrier, and I held it for when the Phantom would be able to activate. I chained D-Barrier, and then it was useless. So that was really good. And then from there, we just went through and managed to put together a pretty solid game. So it was pretty good. We'll have to see if we can finish out the last 2 rounds. This local is a lot harder because we have some better players, and I tend to start off 2-0 and then fail at the end, but hopefully it goes pretty smoothly. We'll have to see. Definitely liking the side deck, and I think the triple Kieran is definitely going to keep carrying, so hopefully that performs well in the future rounds. All right, round 3 is over. Just played against the Memento deck, and that was my loss. Game 1, I opened fairly weak. I don't have the footage. I just wasn't feeling up for recording it. But I was pretty quick. He beat me pretty one-handedly, or one-sided. Game 2, I ended up winning after grinding out and being able to just kind of overwhelm his resources. Game 3 was a really back and forth. He played really expertly through my Fuelos and my DD Crow. I tried to make a pretty solid push. I ended up having like Alkinix, double Diabell Star, and access to Poplar and stuff like that, and I thought I had maybe enough of a push, but I was one body short to be able to effectively be able to win the game. So he ended up winning out. We have 1 round left. If I win, I get some prizing, and if I don't, then I'm out. But lots to learn from this local, and we'll have to see how this last round goes. Unfortunately, I didn't get footage of the last round, but I ended up playing against the White Forest Runic deck. That match didn't really matter. He was going to give me the win anyway, just because of pricing. He wasn't going to get anything if he won, so he wanted to make sure that I got something, which is pretty cool. But we ended up playing it out for fun anyway. I ended up winning 2-1. I think maybe it was 2-0. I ended up winning. I remember game 1 pushing through his setup with a pretty decent amount of hand traps really quickly, which was unfortunate for him. But the most notable part of the entire match was when he had added the trap card that summons the 2 from deck and lets him synchro summon. I had Ash Blossom in hand. I decided to hold it because I wanted to make sure that I had it for that, because that being an interruption on my turn would be more problematic than him trying to set up stuff on his turn. But then he activated an LZ, sending the trap card to the graveyard, which prompted me to then activate my DD Crow to banish the, actually, what happened was I activated Ash Blossom to negate the LZ, and then when the trap card activated itself to set, or activated its effect to set itself, I activated DD Crow to banish it, leaving him with practically nothing, because he took a giant minus there, and I was very quickly able to win out from there. So the deck ended up 3-1. I think the Memento matchup maybe came down to me misplaying. We'll have to see how it goes going into the next week, though. Yeah, because now we're going to have the release of Crossover Breakers. So this was Back to Basics episode 2, and now we're going to go back to basics again, learning all new decks and figuring out how to navigate the new format with Malice and Ryzeal and stuff being in the game as well. So we'll see how that goes.